Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUY. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
Chase dreams, I'll chase money. It's so funny, nothing you can take from me. I chase dreams, I'll chase money. I go dummy, everybody hate to love me. Why? I chase dreams, I'll chase money. It's so funny, nothing you can take from me. One deep, like sweet, like honey. I go dummy, everybody hate to love me.
I'm ADA protected.
Talking to black baby, a population army of one. Getting masked up and rolling over snitches. Sitting them like the cruise line, baby, to throw out the E-stitches. A wrecking ball to all their scams, the grips they sold as free. The lawyers, the lies, the business pay, blocking out the only me. How many claims are left in ruins? Oh, let us count the ways. A memorial, 20K on fencing, a fortune turned into 18K. What's the sound of two brain cells fighting for last place? If you guess the ecosystem, that's right. You got lies about money, a fortune squandered, thousands flagrantly misused. And unlike sickness, there's sadly no cure for stupid. This isn't just a mic drop, it's yet another nuke. Asking what they're gonna do when their money turns to poof. The greatest truth out there, they know the truth in what I wrote. But to quote you ecosystem pals, they've already tossed you off the boat. I hope you can float, lady, because they've abandoned you. Abandoned. That's right.
All right, we got it. Woohoo, baby. I swear to God. You know what you learn from YouTube? You learn that you have to have like 3 different ways to hook your sound up and everything else. YouTube has been so jacked up since about August the 13th last month. It has been so weird. Doesn't send out notifications properly. Doesn't tell people when you're live. Like, it tells some people, but doesn't tell everybody. Doesn't connect or all kinds of crazy. So much weirdness. It has been a mess though. But it was funny because I went to tell you also, I hope this is kind of strange. I went to tell you that I was going to switch over, and it would take just a minute. And I type it in. I have two ways to type in. You know, the app that I connect through, I can do that, or I do it for my phone, you know, where I watch the chat. Well, I typed it in to the thing where I connect through, and on my own thing, YouTube would not let me make a comment because it told me that it was spam. I was like, on my own freaking platform. Are you kidding me, YouTube? I was like, just a second, I'll have it fixed. That's what my comment was. And it was like, nope, that's spam. Sorry. I said, you piece of garbage. But we are fixed and we are live. What's up, folks? I love it. I love it. I know, man. That's a good one, Steve. I don't know. Steve was like, I don't know where Jeremy finds the time to mess with Tuck's mic, you know, move cameras. I know he has all this stuff that he's supposed to be doing all at one time. It does sound like a lot of work, doesn't it? You know, it's crazy. The thumbnail was really funny today too. If you've noticed the creations on the thumbnails, I didn't actually give the AI a picture of Lynette Preston to make that thumbnail. I took a description of a person. I gave it a description, and it made what I think is a pretty decent likeness, to be honest. But that is not in any way, shape, or form her. That is AI deciding on its own what somebody would look like. Isn't that funny? Let me pull that up for you. Let me show you. And you tell me how good of a likeness that is. I told it that I wanted a give me 1 second. I was messing with the wording and stuff, but I told it that I wanted a police officer. I started out with a police car on one side, and I told it I wanted to set up a policeman. Give me 1 second, I'll show you. I'll tell you how it sets up. So just to say. So I told it I wanted a police car like yesterday. If you look at yesterday's, there's a police car on there. But I wanted a police car a little bit centered in the background. I wanted a police officer that was on the phone. And I told it that I was like, it gave me a tiny phone at first. And I was like, no, I want more phone to emphasize. So what did it do? It didn't give me a bigger phone. It gave me two phones. It's like, wait a minute. But then I gave it a description of a woman that I wanted on here, right? I mean, it's just like a short paragraph description, and it made that person. Now, I did not give it a picture of Lynette Preston, though, just to say, isn't that amazing? I did put in that umbrella guy down there, and I added a Jeremy Hale. Jeremy Hale's is really funny, by the way. So they, anytime I can't use AI to make him because it always makes him look weird. It's got like I don't know, like it's his features are too round. Here, let me show you. They always get him wrong. So I can never use AI because I'd like to blend him into the back just to goof off with it. But it never gets his face right. It always makes a mess of it. So check this out. This is what it does to Jeremy Hales, by the way. I did give it a picture to work off of too. All right. And so that's what it turns Jeremy Hales into. I sent one over to him the other day. I was like, dude, I don't know who that guy is in the middle there, but I don't think that's you, Jeremy. Oh my God, that's so good though. I mean, look at the guy. It doesn't look like him at all. Like the face is wrong. And that's working off of an actual picture. You know, the one I use in thumbnails. I wanted to put him in the middle here and blend him. you know, but they did kind of, I don't really understand why. So it used the hand, which is okay, but it just used part of the shirt here. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense either. Oh my God. And it cut off the edges. So it is that umbrella guy peeking over the corner. Oh my God. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing great today. You want to see something funny, by the way? So, two L's in the gang. Like I love making fun of this, so I'm gonna make fun of it again today. They think that we cannot get transcripts of their stupid ass shows, right? They think because they turned off all of their CCs, their closed captioning. They think that stopped everything. You know, they think it's hurting everyone else, or not hurting everyone else, rather, but it somehow stops that. Okay, well, the funny thing about that is, here's a just this is I did this this afternoon. So today I went on to Mr. Coop and Mike Veteran Nation was on there. I went over there to talk to them for a few minutes, and I decided, hey, I'm going to make a few transcripts. I'm going to make some decent transcripts, not those fast, crappy ones we do a lot of times. But I'm going to make some more better in-depth ones. And I think it's hilarious because while I was there, I got these plus I think there's two more, you know, because there's more. But they think for some reason that turning off closed captions has stopped people from getting transcripts, and it doesn't. It actually is pretty damn easy still. All you have to do is grab the link and carry it over to a site. It depends. There are plenty of freebie sites, but there are also pay sites if you want some. But I think it's funny that they think that stopped people. And it's like, no, in fact, if you want to see something really fun, let's talk about this real quick. In fact, I always mail them to myself, you know, so I explain this just so you understand. If you look at this transcript and you see it looks like an email and it's always a day off because I mail it over to myself, you know, that way the PDF file on there, it has a specific date on it. It's always one day off. That way I can always remember. It's just a, you know, date -1 because I never do their shows are 5 fucking hours long. This allows me to search. When I search, like you can tell what they're really butthurt about. For example, if you in this one, they really got really angry about one megalodonous foe. In fact, they mentioned Meg in this 41 times. 41 freaking times. And that's where the AI catches it as Megan, like as a whole name. So the name itself, 41 times. With the other mentions, they mention her about, God, I'm going to say 80 or 90 times in total, at least that I've ran across. It's good God. The obsessiveness. It was really funny too. Like this transcript. The reason to do transcripts, by the way, first of all, you don't have to listen to the shitty show. That helps a lot. But on top of that, you know, you can focus on specific things. Now, there was something that happened with last night we were talking about that actually is a very, I don't know, I think it's interesting to note here because we were talking about last night the emails with Levy County. You know, Levy County, if you missed that for some reason, you missed a good show. If you missed last night's for, you know, you decided that was the night not to tune in, you really missed a big one because we ended up with a FOIA request. FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. Let me pull this just so you know what I'm talking about. That way you know what they're responding to here. We were talking about the contact that was made with Katrina Sessler. You can see this is the assistant to Dan Owens, the division chief. This is the state attorney's office here. for Levy County. All right. So these are prosecutors. Now, we talked about last night that Dan Owens, they were trying to find a reason to put Jeremy Hales in jail. Very much so. And it tells you, like, he obviously does nothing on him, because otherwise they tried to violate his protective order. They did all kinds of craziness. But you have 2L here making contact. And what's interesting is they decided, yeah, they would talk about that. And they would brag that, oh, that's not even the beginning of it. I mean, they apparently have made quite a few contacts and tried to cause Jeremy Hill's problems in his life. In fact, I mean, you can go in if you want to see a clip of this, by the way. There is it's at 2 hours and 59 minutes. But they are talking about, oh, yeah, they did. So you can see this here, and it continues through. They're talking about a phone call that I made. Now, it's funny because they tried to do, and they make this clear. They tried to keep it off records. You'll notice that's what they're discussing through this. And again, this is really interesting stuff, because they tried to make it where you couldn't get records of all the insidious shit they were doing. Why is that, would you say, by the way? Well, that's because it's actionable stuff. This is the kind of stuff that gets you sued. Well, the county decided that they were going to make a note about it. They were going to send an email to ask Dan Owens exactly what to do. But she was like, oh, yeah, I did that. I did call the district attorney. I spoke with several people, actually. I've actually met with people. Wait, did you travel to Levy County? Sure you did. You met with people with the sole intention of trying to harm a person and put them in jail? Well, that's interesting. You know what that means to me, too? All fucking gloves are off as far as if people want to make reports about, I don't know, theft of money. That might be fine. I would say that you probably wouldn't want to draw any attention to yourself when you're lifting, God, I mean, how many tens of thousands or more? You probably wouldn't want to really draw attention to yourself. It's funny, too. They talked about the Only Me thing. So if you missed yesterday, this was good, too. Only Me was talking to... we'll call him David the donor in case it confuses people. The guy who gave $56,000 freaking dollars by himself. He was talking to John Cook in a chat, and he said, John Cook, I'm not going to contact you individually. Because they keep trying to get him to contact and give more money. And he's like, I'm not going to contact you individually, but I'll tell you right here. So it was publicly stated that I give you permission to get that money from these people. They're using it. Again, they don't have to do this anyway. John Cook is the biggest coward. He can threaten. He threatened Megan. I believe this is him because he's done it before. But over on the Sharo video from yesterday, he threatened Megan with litigation because of a comment over there. So he can threaten that, but he can't man up and go after the money that is theirs. That's weird. Now, it's not actually John Cook's money, by the way. So just to note this, I don't believe anybody was collecting money in John Cook's name. I believe it was in Lynette Preston and Harley Grace's name. When they used the family, I don't believe people were talking about the guy who's even though he's supposed to be in recovery, and maybe he is, if he is, hopefully he is. I would never wish somebody not to be in that. But I doubt anybody was like, hey, let's give that guy money. They were talking about the other two, But Only Me was like, yo, I get permission, you can get that back for sure. And he also said that I have written, and I did it about 2 weeks ago, and they chose to ignore me. That's weird, isn't it? But they decided to go off on that too. But during this anyway, they said, yeah, you know what? They've talked about, oops, let me see. They have actually spoken with several and met with people. I mean, that's just crazy, you know? That is so crazy. But they said, you know, they said that the town knows who Jeremy is, and so does the district attorney's office. Huh. And that's probably why she let him know a YouTuber called. No, idiot. No, you moron. She actually mentioned this stuff because the way we find out about it is because of FOIA. That's why. Not because of a YouTube. Oh, that's so dumb, you know? But look, they're talking about how they were running through this sheriff and they were doing all this nonsense. They also kept saying people are running out of content. Oh no, man, I got content for years, baby. But this is a brand new FOIA request. Brand new, like just gotten 600 pages of stuff. Took a long time to get them to come off of it. So this ain't old content, baby. This is brand new spanking content. And I think it scares them to know that we have record of them contacting, because they made it clear when they were discussing all of this that they wanted this to have no record. They were making phone calls and more because they thought they would have no way to request it. We'd have no record of it because they weren't calling the police. Weirdly enough, they're calling the prosecutor's office, which is such a strange thing, because as the prosecutor tells them too, hey, you got to call law enforcement. You know, if you're going to do something there, we don't bring charges. We're not the ones that do it. I wouldn't be surprised if me. I'm not surprised with Dan Owens. I'm actually not surprised with Dan Owens, his involvement, especially since, again, I personally believe we will see how this plays out. Again, they are public officials, so if they want to sue a mofo about saying this, then bring it. Because again, they are public officials. But there have been 3 instances where there is a letter that is referenced that we do not have, that was not turned over. And well, let's just say that it looks like it's a letter saying that the prosecutor doesn't want them enforcing the protective order. And after the letter that was involved here, I very much believe it. I very much believe that's the thing, you know. But again, at around 2:59, I mean, what's stated there is crazy. Because again, they straight up admit about that stuff. They do, you know. You know, what's wild too. They admitted last night they were trying to look up pictures of my family and everything else. They messed up and said this. So she was like, "Oh my God, Tag makes fun of people's appearances. Have you seen pictures of his wife?" Oh wait, no, I haven't either. It was like, yeah, I think you just did. I think you just said you were looking at pictures. You piece of shit. They also tried to, it was funny, like you could tell how butthurt they were last night, because we're talking about Megan. And they're like, "Oh my God, mocking people. Megan, I wonder how many teeth Megan has." And I'm like, oh my God, is this Haggard Wrench? Is she trying to make fun of teeth? I think she has all of her teeth, you know, just to say. But they, It was really a bizarre night. It was a really bizarre one. Check this out too. Let me pull up a couple of things off of it. They kept going on, and this has been a new thing here. They kept complaining because people wouldn't let Bruce on. Now, of course, I didn't let Bruce on. Now, why wouldn't I let Bruce on? Maybe because Bruce decided when he when he made first contact, he wanted to make threats. So you never get to come on my channel after you threaten me ever. Like that's just the way it is, you know. And he wanted it so bad. I mean, he wanted it so badly, you know. So no, but it's really funny because the kicker, they are actually trying to. So throughout the night, they were trying to work around Bruce, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow. Okay, there's a video I do want to talk about. I wanted to give it 2 days because it did really well. It was Hale's video talking about that conference. Oh, that they kept saying that they don't even understand what a freaking conference is. By the way, a hearing. They don't get it. Like they were like, it's not a hearing. I forget what they were calling it. But it's like, yeah, it's called a status hearing, you idiots. So the no, they're not. I mean, like they're like, I know legal, I know legalese. No shit. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Oh my god, I started laughing so hard, like reading through some of this shit. Oh, I thought I was gonna die. I know legalese. I think this can't be real, can it? Oh my god. I might have to find it again. Oh, I don't remember if I marked it because oh, I got laughing so hard about it though. Because they were talking, like I said, they were talking about it. And they they wanted that, like I said, they want to say everybody lies about everything, right? They're the only source that tells the truth to their people. And it just, like I said, it got me laughing so much. The spin to the bankruptcy lawyer is the bankruptcy lawyer actually is involved. Why? Well, he was there at the meeting. Yeah, no joke. He was there at the meeting the other day. They said it's not a hearing, though. It's like, well, what is it? You know, a status hearing is a hearing. You know, when the judge calls you in and you have everybody, that is a hearing. So, hate to inform you, but he was there. But you know what he was there as? A bankruptcy lawyer. And you know what he had to tell the judge? Again, if you have the ability to do so, that video is up, and for reasons that have already been discussed, right now it is members only. It will not be members only later, but right now, you know, when you're spending hundreds of thousands of bucks, if you have the ability to get a little bit of that back, I can understand why you would try to do that. But the hearing's about 10 minutes long. I paid to see it, by the way. I did. I respected the idea that with that, you know, they had to get it from the court and everything else. But in it, the judge, when he's talking to the bankruptcy lawyer, he asks him about why he's there, if he's referencing. First, he thinks Larry is Lynette's lawyer. Larry, I'm telling you, Larry in that, he looks so proper. Like, it's so funny. Like, he looks like the lawyer that is present. He looks ready and willing. And the bankruptcy lawyer just looks like, nah, he does not. Let's just say, if I were paying that much money, I would want my lawyer decked to the nines, you know. But they thought that Lynette was represented there, and she wasn't represented. The lawyer had just come there to tell them that there had been a bankruptcy hearing, but currently there is no bankruptcy. There's nothing there. It was discharged because of. In fact, we have a status update. I've almost forgot about this. Thank you, Max Lab, by the way. But there was a status update. So we are going to go forward, right now. Again, I'm amused no matter how this goes forward. Let me just say, because if they bring forth the joy of bankruptcy hearing, it's bad for them. If they don't get it through on time, it's bad for them. So no matter what they do, they're in a bad way, right? Give me a minute. I'm redacting something off this real fast, but they're in trouble no matter what. But that bankruptcy lawyer, yeah, he was there all right, but he was there again trying to excuse his screw ups, and there was no way to excuse them. Like there was nothing he could do, nothing any of them could do because they made a mess out of it. But last night they were trying to excuse that and to say that somehow in some way that kind of makes it part of that. Again, they are trying to rationalize away the fact that they helped steal $6,000 and throw it into bankruptcy, where very much they were not honest about it. Like if you look at the people discussing it, so they go back and forth. They like to flip flop. They like to say, "Oh, I didn't know anything about it," but actually, we didn't lie to you. So I guess they did know about it. It's pretty funny. But check this out here. You actually you do have a status update. Here we are. I love it. I think it's so funny. You forget you have your earphones in. Or I do that. I go outside a lot of times, and I catch up and listen to everything. That's how I do it myself. Or I walk. So I've taken as it's starting to cool down a little bit. I will walk in the morning, and you know what? I've been doing better with health. Like I said, I got some fat on. I was like, man, this is not good for me. So I've been walking for about 6 weeks. And in 6 weeks, I have dropped close to 12 point something pounds. I got my fat butt to work, baby. No, with health and stuff, I didn't feel like I could do anything. And I was just like, I don't give a damn. I'm going to do anyway. So I've been busting it up, man. I've been on it. But I go out, listen, headphones, and sometimes I'll find myself responding to stuff. Luckily, my neighbors don't care. They're just like, that's he's kind of a weird guy anyway. But here we have. So you'll notice this is, what is this? Well, this is the thumbnail case. We also, when you look at it, it's pretty interesting because we're going to have an evidentiary hearing. Judge Grabe, you like that, by the way? I remembered his name. Thank you. Yay! I remembered his name. Judge Grabe is having an evidentiary hearing. Why does that matter? Well, because Lynette Preston's, she's having some problems. She's going to lose. She brought litigation that cost people money, and then she dropped it after the safe harbor period. As we've talked about, I know Bruce tried to frame it as there's no way anyone can do anything about that. Oh, yeah, you can. You absolutely can. You cannot, again, you just look at this outside of being a lawyer, you think about that argument. Imagine you cost people tens of thousands of dollars on garbage claims that you drop later. Do you think that you can just do that to them repeatedly? Because under the way that Bruce described it, he makes it sound like I could just open a case, do my damages and whatnot, drop the case, open it up again, drop the case, and just continue to do that, which is nonsensical. And you're seeing this judge, he's asking about costs. So Lynette Preston, she's going to end up writing some checks. And I realize that she thinks things are going to go a different way. But that status hearing should have been a wake-up call. She also was told, so the excuse of the lawyer, by the way, falls apart because she was also told that she's in over her head. That's what the judge said. And again, we will go over that video tomorrow because it is very entertaining stuff. It is. Like, this case, I cover it all the time because I think about it all the time. I do. It owns a little piece of me because it is so crazy and entertaining. Again, I hate that it impacts a person in real life like it does. But my God, every case I cover impacts a person. And this case entertains the shit out of me. And these people are such clowns. I love making fun of them. We still haven't covered, like, again, Megan's going to be gone until Wednesday. So we will have plenty of time to catch up a few things. We're going to go over the police thing today. That'll be our main hitter. We're going to laugh at a few other things too. Tomorrow we are going to catch up that. We still have a bunch, like, man, Preston went on a posting spree before she decided to delete everything. We need to catch all of that up. There's just a lot. There's a lot. And it'll be fun. That's assuming nothing else pops up. But here's your notice for Judge Grabe. So please take notice that an evidentiary hearing will be held before the Honorable Robert K. Grabe. Now, Grabe, by the way, seems very matter of fact. I looked up some discussions of him. Again, you never know until you get into it, of course. But he sounds like a Law and Order kind of dude. That's what you need, man. You don't need a listen to buzzwords garbage. You need to look at the law. It doesn't matter how many buzzwords you can stick in front of a person, or if you can pretend whether, they wanted to play like it's a David and Goliath thing. Poor little poor her versus the Goliath. It's like, are you kidding me, man? It's not a David and Goliath story. It's an idiot that damages companies versus, I mean, come on. But that's going to pop off on October the 22nd. So we are talking about not that far away. Now, again, bankruptcy hearing. There is a hearing about the bankruptcy that is going to pop up before that. If they manage to delay, if they can manage any kind of stay or delay, what would that mean, by the way? Well, it would just mean that Lynette's in a different kind of trouble. Again, I cannot speak for Jeremy on the bankruptcy. I try to limit questions. I do ask questions here and there, like if I want clarifications, but I want to limit certain questions because I don't, unless it's a case I'm involved in, like I do have my own in there with Leslie Ferderigo's. Remind me to make a statement about that, by the way. I do need to say something about that too. But unless it's my case with Leslie Ferderigo's, I don't ask about strategy because it's actually none of my business. And I don't want to accidentally say something one day, even if it was. So I don't ask. I don't think anybody would tell me, but I don't ask anyway. But I would think, this is just me speculating, I would think that they would be more than happy to let Lynette Preston continue on this bankruptcy stupid, because Lynette Preston, she doesn't learn. She gives them more time, more opportunity to learn things. I mean, she cannot hear that. She has the worst legal advisors I've ever seen too. She does. If you doubt that, by the way, I know Lynette thinks because you have a law license that somehow makes you a good lawyer. That doesn't mean anything. I worked around many a mental health person, and many of them, even though they were licensed, you would have good ones, but you would have very bad ones too. Licensure means nothing. It just means you passed a couple of tests. It doesn't mean a damn thing. So we're going to see, again, evidentiary hearing. That's where it's going to get good. That's when you're going to find out about costs. I'm curious what the damages are when it comes to the thumbnail case. by itself. I'm curious. I have no idea what the appropriate damages are. Now, I do know, hey, man, 2,500 of you managed on a Friday? That's awesome, guys. I appreciate you. Did you like the thumbnail today, though? I did like it. Actually, the last 2 days, I tried a little bit more with the thumbnail. Usually, I'm very lazy with thumbnails, because if I'm out or something. But I was like, you know what? I think we'll make a funny thumbnail. So, like this. But we have that on 1:30 p.m. or thereafter. Now, look at this, too. We're not talking about, so the last hearing that we saw was 10 minutes. Remember that. We had a 10-minute status hearing. How long is this one here? Look at this. We are talking about a hearing that is scheduled for 2 hours. So you are talking about hearing quite a bit. You can find out about what exactly transpired. Lynette, I'm again going to say this. If you ignore it, that is your prerogative. Get a lawyer. I don't know how you're going to manage it. Again, if you try to fundraise or anything, I will be very vocal about how 2L in the gang called you a liar and everything else and said you were essentially, they've called you I'm using my own words, but they've described you like an uncaring sociopath. That's what they've made you sound like. They've made statements about you that if they ever try to fundraise for you after this, I'm going to be very vocal about their own words. So I'm not going to help you raise money. You had money there. You had it. You either do or don't. You still have some out there. Now, of course, claiming that money might interfere with your bankruptcy, but still. Why was Foreman there? Because it's part of the thumbnail case. Yeah. It's a status hearing for that's a good question. So it was a status hearing for all the cases. See, Judge Grabe is taking over all of that stuff. That's actually a very good question. I'm glad you asked that, Lily. So Lily, let me pull this up here. Because there may be other people that don't know this too. Very good question, Lily. So Lily asked, why was Foreman there? Did the judge go over the thumbnail case too? I only remember hearing about the trespass. Yeah, so it was for everything. It's to break down these cases periodically. They have to be moved. They've talked about the round robin, as it were, of cases and how they go before different judges if they sit for too long. Well, this, like I told you a long time ago, they're going to continue kicking the can down the road until they can't kick it down the road anymore. And that's essentially what they ran into with both cases. They kicked it down the road, and then eventually you had the thumbnail litigation, which is open, and the stuff that is going on with Granger and Granger that ends up in front of him. So you hear about both of those because, again, it's a status hearing. You have the representation. You're dealing with all the parties. They can all be brought in for those matters because they all fall under one lawyer. So you have, like it says on the document here. Let me see if I don't think I cut this off. Let me make sure. Let me see if it's down there at the bottom. So you'll notice the Shockit group, you have the Shockit group here representing, when you get down to representing everyone. This is in this one court, but you'll notice he is representing Foreman. He's representing George, Hales, et cetera, et cetera. So he's representing across all cases. So everything could just be heard as one status. You have all of the parties here. They're looking for closure, essentially, So yeah, he was there just to kind of go over the status of it. And really, I think Larry it was interesting too, because you had the person who said, I didn't think they would be there. If I would have been a betting person, I would have said Preston was not going to be there in person. But she was. She was there. She also, she looked like she'd put a few bucks into trying to get ready for a hearing too, which is interesting because they have been saying that every penny goes for X, Y, or Z, but they were probably told to make a good impression, you know. And she tries again. I cannot understate her. She tried to weaponize the Scott Stark death. She did. She tried to like it's a shield and also a blade. I don't know anything about this. How do I even get my own documents? How do I get this? How do I do that? Well, maybe you should talk to Bruce, because Bruce is the other side of the Scott Stark stuff. You ridiculous, utter moron. She's pretending that Scott Stark was the only person that was involved in that. If you go in and you listen to it, it blew my mind to listen to that part, because she's representing to the judge that she can't get stuff anymore. You know, Scott's deceased. Therefore, I kept thinking, you know, we do have access to the contract there, you know. And the contract, it made it pretty clear that Scott Stark wasn't the only party involved in this stuff. In fact, here, actually, I have that still pulled up. I was talking about it today. You know, when you look at it with the Scott Stark contract, give me a second. Not only was Scott Stark not the only person. Whoops, wrong one. My bad. Pulled up the wrong one. I forgot to click it over. Give me a second here. Is that the right one? Can't see it. Gosh, man. I hope this thing is not being stupid again today. Give me a minute. This thing freaked out yesterday, and it would not show anything new. Let me see if it'll do it again today. There, I think that's it. All right. So there we go. Now, on the Scott Stark, it was being weird. They changed some stuff up yesterday. Hey, thanks, Tracy, by the way. Looking after my granddaughter and granddaughter. Lost your fingernail. Oh, God, I'm catching it. Well, you know, everything's at an interest. You know, you don't have as much to catch up. If it's been a little while, there's been personal craziness, but there's not a lot of motion in the cases. So it's not as hard to catch up, depending on how much time has passed. Okay. But with the Scott Stark thing, Michelle Preston cannot pretend that there's no way to get the documents, because you notice that not only are they co-counsel, Scott and Bruce, but Bruce was writing all of the documentation. He was writing everything. So to pretend that you don't have access to it is absolutely garbage. That is so dishonest, because Bruce, again, he was co-counsel. He just wasn't appearing counsel. The counsel of record has to be Scott. But the guy who is sitting behind the scenes, writing, quote unquote, as much as possible, it is so egotistical too. I was talking about this earlier with Mr. Coop. When you read through things, you get a feeling for what motivates someone, you know, and this is the kind of stuff that ends up hurting you in cases, because a good lawyer will tell you what you need to hear. A bad lawyer will tell you what you want to hear. Does that make sense? You know, sometimes you need to hear things like, shut up, don't speak, say this publicly, don't say that, you know, and sometimes that'll rile a person up. But you need to hear that. What you don't need is ego stroking and being told that you're going to make a fortune. But when you look and you listen to these people, you hear them all the time telling Lynette Preston what she wants to hear. You know, she hears the ballad of money, money, money. But also, when you read through this, you see a guy that has to be a contributor. He has to be locked on this case. He has to be the face of the case if it goes anywhere. He makes that clear. He's going to be the out-of-court spokesperson. He speaks to media. gets statements, prepares press releases, and also gets paid, of course. So, yeah. Oh my God. What a mess. But she can't complain and say that she can't get documentation. She did say that in court, by the way. She very much said that. But that is dishonest. Because again, Bruce has it. He made it clear. He wrote it. I mean, shit, he wrote all this stuff. He told us he did. He told us a few times that he did. So to say that they don't have access is absolute garbage. Now, the other thing, I do want to mention this before we look at this police video here, too. They were talking about only me last night. They were bringing him up. Now, what started this off? Well, if you missed this for some reason, it's pretty easy to note here. Again, let me bring this up here. I mentioned this a little bit for a second, but if you missed how we led into this, you had, man, I hate these new changes. I hate new StreamYards. I may have to get something new to do this with. I cannot fight this thing every time. Let me see if that's it. Nope. Still didn't. Look at this crap, man. Give me 1 second. I'm going to refresh this. It'll take me 1 second. I will be right back. You won't even notice hardly. Okay. Okay. Let's see if that did. Let's see if it makes it show up. This is so bizarre because it won't lock in on stuff. It's like it's not. Yeah, there it is. That's so weird, man. I've never seen that. They keep trying to make things fancier, I'm going to say, but what they do is they make it a mess. Like I've had to do this twice now. I've had to log out and log back into stuff to show you screenshots. So you'll see here. Now this was in what's your face? The other L, Tori. That's it. So in Tori's live stream, you saw only me and John Cook. Now, only me started talking to John Cook and said, and said on that, hey, you need to get your money from Lisa Lee. My directive is that it's yours. So he's making it clear, that money there, that's your money. That's not Lisa's money. And it said a few other things too. But these are out of sync. I think these are back. Wait, maybe they're not actually. What was the time? I'll tell you in a minute. I didn't look at the first time. Maybe that was the first one. But he said also for the record, I give authorization for the money to be given to you and your family who desperately need it. So he said it again publicly. Hey, that's your money. And also, okay, so that was in order, by the way. I kept thinking it was backwards, but I guess it was the right way. So he also said, John Cook, because John Cook was like, hey, contact. No, I'm not going to contact you directly. And also, I won't say any more here. But I emailed. The reason he's going, I won't say any more here is because weirdly, they were talking about how it was disrespectful in her chat. And I thought, I get that if she wants to move on with stuff, by the way. I do get that. But at the same time, the money was raised while she was part of that brood. So maybe that would be something to sound off on. Again, all these people are so cowardly. She pulls like no more than 40 viewers, by the way. So maybe having a little backbone and standing up, it's not going to cost her that much. It's not like 2L has left her with an exorbitant amount of viewership. So why not call it out? But only me, again, brought that up. Okay, well, apparently mentioning that gets them very butthurt. And that came up. So check this out here. Look at that there. I love it. I think it's so funny, man. Chat the Jet. So when they start the show, do they all say in the chat tug raid? Do they watch? Oh yeah, many of them watch. You're allowed to watch, by the way. You know what? They can watch all they want. That it would be interesting if they kind of got some surprise, but at the same time, I don't know. See, I can't figure out sometimes if the people that go over and tell 2L this stuff that went on, if they're trolling her or what, because they don't tell her correctly, and they get her like worked up, and it's hilarious sometimes. I mean, these massive fucking breakdowns. So they are funny. They are pretty funny. So I sometimes I'm like, are they trolling? What's going on there? But you can see him bringing this up about only me here. They were saying that he's been all over the place, and of course, what's weird, they also mentioned something with John Cook. They said John Cook, apparently John Cook was talking some shit about only me too. That's the way I read this, and the way I understood it. John Cook was talking shit and saying that only me, he didn't help enough because John Cook didn't bow down to him. I thought, wow, that's interesting. This guy, I'm telling you, man, you could at least part in a decent way. They talk about they kept saying that I have him blocked. Now, if he's been blocked, he got blocked for a reason. That's because he doesn't get to own the chat, and nobody gets to do that. They don't actually get to own the place. It's funny, they didn't block him until they got to milk him dry, But I don't know if he is or not. He wasn't for a while, but it depends on if everybody follows the same rules. He is disruptive as shit. So if he was very disruptive, he might have gotten blocked. I'd have to check though, because I don't remember. But they were all over there, and they were complaining because he had said that he had mailed them, and again, she's calling the lawyer. She's like, I didn't see that one yet, but for the record, she's reading his stuff. I didn't see that one, but for the record, What's funny too is, I guess he's talking to John, or he can do that as long as it's not in my chat. Oh my God. What's funny is imagining them giving ultimatums saying that John and only me can't talk. And only me can't be in other people's chat. Oh, what a bunch of clowns. What a bunch of freaking clowns. He hasn't been blocked. I don't like. I'd have to check him just to make sure. I couldn't. He's been in streams. Yeah, he may be. I mean, if he's allowed in, he's allowed in. But I don't recall if he managed to get himself blocked out. But it was just interesting. Now let's look at this police call. I want to go over this. I think this will be fun to cover too. Give me a second. Gotta lock it in. Man, this thing tonight. Every time I'm like, they've stopped working on it, thankfully. Now let's give some love to Shar. Now this stuff again is FOIA, but still. Oh my God, all this new stuff. When I say it's new, you can see the dates on it, but you got to remember, you've got to FOIA stuff. So it takes a minute to get here. Sometimes it takes more than a minute to get here, We had the paper document, but what's really funny in this? Oh, well, let me show you something before it disappears too. Now, I forgot about this too. So the comments, there's actually comments on here, and you can see, let me see if it's still there. If not, I'll read it. Oh, there it is at the bottom. Okay, so you have Megan. She notes this, and you'll hear why in a minute. But she noted the irony of being verbally abusing the child while on the phone with the cops, claiming she's not an abuser. So Megan says that, and that is Megan. Of course, that's actually her thing. So you go down through here, and you have a John Cook. Now, this sounds like John Cook. Very much so. John Cook loves having sock accounts, so that sounds like him too. But he's telling her, "Oh, you really better start begging for more breadsticks, because you'll have your day in court as well." If that's really John, man, oh my God! He's threatened us all with litigation repeatedly. But it's funny because I wanted to know this, John, and I'll just ask this live. Are you going to sue Lynette Preston then? Is she going to be one of my co-defendants? Because the reason I ask is I'm going to be relying on some stuff that she said about you. Because you're going to want to come in and say, oh, I'm this or I'm that. Well, I'm going to use her words against you. And I'm going to use her words against her about you. Because she said so many awful things about you that it looks bad. But also, in this, she spends so much time with the kid. Again, do not contact anyone. I'm making that clear. Do not contact any agency or whatever, with this. So as I talk, okay, that is out of the way. Do not. That is my spiel on that. But every time you hear her talking to the kid, she's yelling. That's her baseline. And the thing that worries me about something like that, for my kids, okay, you hear me talk to my kids, even when they're doing stuff like they're not listening sometimes, I will use the same voice, but my voice can be a little more stern, instead of just laughing over it. So they understand. You do that thing like parents would, like your parents maybe would do. You'd hear it before. You see it, even at sitcoms or you're related, you start using an entire proper name. When I use my kids' entire names, there's something, there's a problem. And if it escalates from that, then I will raise my voice. And yelling is where they know that it's serious, because that's the level of punishment. Now, if your baseline or your beginning place is yelling, what do you escalate to? And that's worrisome. That is. Now, if you take that as any kind of a negative statement, let me see. But it was funny because now I don't see the responses to it, but there was not. Let me give me a second. I can't see her response there, but there definitely was one. I screenshot it. Give me a second here. So Megan responded to that and said, "Truth is the ultimate defense for defamation cases. No jury of 12 people is going to hear her screaming at a child and think it's not abusive. Off you, and so, and that's true. Find 12 people that are going to say, yeah, that sounds great. That does. That sounds very good. All right, let's pull up let me lock the video in, and then we'll watch. I just wanted to read that to you while we were on here, because he's threatening to sue Megan. That's funny. What a crazy man. Where's the money? They can't dig themselves out of any other hole, too. Where are they going to get that money from? They think they're going to sue Megan. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. You ready for this here? Here we go.
Hello. Hello, this is Corporal McIntyre, Levy County Sheriff's Office. Is this Miss Preston?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Miss Preston, what's going on today?
Long time no hear from her.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So right away, Maybe they haven't had a few complaints in a minute. I wonder if that's true. You know, we've seen her make so many complaints. Is it this specific officer it's no long time no hear from? Or is it her herself? I'm curious about that. You know, what exactly does that mean? Let's continue.
Well, Jeremy Hales and George, Martha, whatever, have been calling outwardly and straight up on their channel to everybody call CPS again.
That is not true, by the way. That is some straight up bunk. One of the things that has been noted repeatedly. See, that kind of stuff is, it's so nasty because you know it's not true. And yet. But yeah, they start off with the police right out of the gate with a lie. And it's going to continue like that.
So one of their cohorts, which is another YouTuber, he goes by Veteran Nations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is weird too. I talked to Veteran Nation about what's going to come up here. This is this year, not too long ago. All right. So on that specific day, he was like, I wasn't even around. I was broadcasting from like a beach or something. So, you know, being blamed for any type of a call doing something in the past, they could have potentially made yeah, he did call. Now, again, does that have anything to do with Jeremy Hales? No. You know, it's not like, well, I guess they do say he gets a paycheck from him. I wish I got those paychecks. Man, Jeremy, I guess your paychecks got held up because I haven't gotten one yet. You know, where are they? Let's continue.
This morning, John was paging through, I don't know how he got on it, but he overheard Veterans Nation live, and he said,
so John was paging through. He wasn't. So apparently John is watching. That's all he does all day long. You notice this, by the way. So you see John all night long on the 2L channel. You see him in the afternoon. He's on other people's channels. So John, all he does all day long is sit online and watch coverage about this stuff. Isn't that bizarre too? Do you think it's some kind of weird masochism where he just likes looking like a damn fool? Do you think they enjoy? I'm curious for that too. Yeah, for real. Jay, yeah, that's a good go. Wise Fleece is still saying Megan is going to have to pay Lips tons of money. Is that stupidity of delusion? Am I struggling to understand this? Well, yeah, here's a better question on that too. If they're so convinced that we are wrong in this, why won't they sit down to have that hearing about, why won't they sit down a date? Why will they not communicate when they are asked for the hearing day for vexatious litigant, you know, where we can actually argue that? Because we want to argue that. We've tried to get our dates from the court, and well, it doesn't look like that. That seems like a one-sided thing. That's very interesting. I thought that we were going to have to pay right out the gate, but no, apparently it has been a lot of delay. That's all they've been trying to do with it. And on top of that, they seem very reluctant to fearful because they absolutely know that when you get in front of a court, that they do meet the criteria for it. So yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. Why continue? Because they have nothing else to say. We're demolishing that. There's something we need to catch up on that too. Huh. Guess we'll do that in the next couple of days too. Let's continue.
And that CPS had been called out here yesterday. They were 31st time. And
okay, so he said that they noted that he said that they had been called out there. Now, I'm curious. Now, she has made this more difficult to check, but remember when she was talking on her YouTube posts, and she was talking about how services had been called out to her home? Did he mention that? I mean, that could have been possible, you know? Like, they keep trying to say that this was some kind of setup call. I would be curious about when that was mentioned, you know, when she was posting about that stuff, because she posted about them quite a few times. And the reason it sticks with me is because, remember, they were making claims about 30 plus times. So I am curious about, like, when all of that came up there. Bunch of weirdos, man.
Nothing happened, and he was mad because the sheriff didn't come with them. So he was going to make a report to you and have a welfare check done on our kid and have you guys come out. And he wanted to know why you didn't come out yesterday when our child.
So apparently, like, again, Veteran Nation, I talked to them today. Veteran Nation was like, I don't remember this. Like, when did this supposedly happen? You know? So, it's bizarre there.
The swimming in sewer and septic and buckets of crap and blah, blah, same old crap. CPS gave us a clean bill of health.
Okay.
But if that call gets made, I want to press charges.
For a well-being
because
check?
that. No.
Yeah, they actually, unfortunately, you have to prove, first of all, who made it. If CPS, here's the rub on that. CPS, they will not give you that information right off the bat. They could sue for it. She could sue for it. You know, they could try that, but what money would they do it with? So finding out the information, even like I said, they tell you. She mentioned a name at one time and said that 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 CPS told her a specific name. If indeed they did that, that's a big no-no. As I've said with callers, I cannot definitively say who calls the police. I mean, I can tell you if something. First of all, I know it doesn't come from real life because I don't have that many people I interact with in real life that would have that problem. And who would have the audacity or crazy to do that. You know, I don't have any enemies or anything in real life. My neighbors are the greatest people ever. So there wouldn't be anything in real life. And I can tell from claims, you know, like drug use claims and stuff. Oh, by the way, I was talking about this today, you know. And one of the things I didn't talk about with CPS, but I do think is relevant. When these people, they try to weaponize the idea that CPS is called out again and again. They're all great people, though. Like I said, I had to deal with CPS 2 times. They came to my home recently, which we discussed. Now, my oldest kid is old enough to understand what CPS is because we've dealt with fake claims before. And that night, she was so upset. She cried about it, you know, because she worried. I mean, any kid would. Like these organizations, you know, they don't understand it. I'm like, I'll take care of it. It's not a big deal. But they're upset, you know. She's like, oh my gosh. Because these people, you know, they ask questions and they know that these people remove kids from homes. So they terrorize your kids. And meanwhile, you see these people, you're going to hear the way that she talks to her kid. Like when CPS, when they came here with the kids, like they see them and they're like, oh, there's no problem here. You know, they see them running around, playing, goofing off. You know, you can just tell with a kid. You can tell how they act. And these kids, they're well adjusted, they're well read, they're respectful, they're not afraid of anybody or anything, you know, and they don't care to goof off and stuff. But man, these people who claim, you know, I'm talking about the antis who claim that they're just such good people. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
Oh, for going on it, he has never been here. Any calls that man makes to you is a fabricated call for Jeremy Hales. And
now, what's crazy about this too is they're saying Veteran Nation is making calls. She could. Why don't you FOIA those if you'd like? Then you could have someone or have your Muppets for Hire. Why don't you have them pay, or your PR team? Why don't they pay for that? Why don't you find out if that's actually happened? Because what we've found out is while they're doing this, 2L and the gang really are calling about Jeremy Hales. This isn't some fantasy island bullshit. They've been calling, trying to ruin the guy's life.
it is. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you make fake calls and fraudulent calls to CPS, that is a felony. It's against the law. And also filing false police reports are against the law.
Yes, ma'am, they are.
And now I also want to talk to you about filing charges against Jeremy Hales for filing a false police.
Now this is crazy. I thought, what the heck? What she's going to do here, she's going to try to go after Jeremy Hales for quote unquote filing a false police report. And you might be like, when did this happen? Well, weirdly enough, this is their claim. Check this out.
Report. We now have all of the evidence to prove that he did it. No. Don't put that in there.
Which cases that we're talking about for that?
Okay. Jeremy Hales made a phone call. Stop it. To you guys in February. If you put that in there, you will choke your gecko to death. No.
Good God, man. My littlest daughter is now 6. You hear how she gets into everything. You know, she gets into everything. Right now, the 2 girls, by the way, you notice we haven't been rated tonight. That is because they are having a sisters' night. This is how the kids are adjusted, and they love each other enough to. They are so adjusted. I went down to the store down here. I gave them $25 each, and they decided they wanted to have a movie night together. They're going to chill out. They built a stuffed animal pillow for it. They took over the biggest bedroom in there with a larger TV, and they've shacked up in there like it's theirs for the night. They have built themselves, and they are sharing movies. They're watching one to the other. But my youngest child is close to the age of this kid here. And does the youngest kid get into stuff and do silly or crazy things sometimes? Yeah. She makes messes. She got some Q-tips out the other day, and for some unexplainable reason, she put toothpaste on them, and she said she was trying to clean something. She was trying to help, but she made a damn nasty mess. And I do not start out by yelling. If I have to be stern, like I said, no. And I don't distract. If there's something that can be a problem like this is bad parenting, because bad parenting, you're not giving the child all their attention. And sometimes too, I wonder this, a child that doesn't get positive attention and affirmation, they will get that affirmation and that attention negatively, because attention is attention. And after a while, they will start to act out. So, but I said, all I've ever heard is this tone. They say that's not the norm, but every video call, anything else, that is the norm. There is not a happy norm. So, anyway, let's continue.
He made a police report, had the deputies come out and try to have me arrested for making sending him a text message. That was in February, but I think it was the year before last.
Oh, thank you, Key. I saw your donation there. Thank you. Love to you, by the way. You were talking about, just to note this too. So I could not remember who did the Muppet Theater, right? And now that has been clarified. I don't know why I could not place that for some reason. It just would not, it kept eluding me. So I've taken like your pets that you sent pictures over to, and I'll put them in. You know, we will get that done. But love to you. I appreciate your sentiment on that too, about the kids. Yes, kids are the most important. In my life, family, my kids are my most important thing. Treasure them. But you know what? Like I said, we've spent every single day together, all you folks. We spend hours together. We spend more time together than a lot of families do. So I consider a lot of you as family as well. So I appreciate you all. Thank you. So let's continue here. Okay, I messed up a couple of words when I was saying that, but I did want to say that to you. Love to you. So he tried to have me arrested for
sending him a text message.
sending a text.
That was in February, but I think it was the year before last or last year.
The year before
And we
last
didn't get
or last year. Wait. You're talking about 2023 to 2024, but probably 2023. So she's calling the police to try to have Jeremy Hales arrested for something she alleges transpired in 2023. That's correct. If she's calling in 2025.
the evidence until recently when finally the video was released by him. And the video clearly shows him making a fake police report when he knew damn well that I sent that text message to him the day prior.
So she's trying to talk about, she's saying that she messaged Jeremy Hales when she had a hearing. You know, the hearing that we've seen where she makes a damn fool of herself, where she's acting like a buffoon and she's supposed to be messaging Randy. Now, here's the thing that really boggles my mind. Why the fuck are you why do you have Jeremy Hales not blocked? Now, if the answer there, if you're like, well, maybe she unblocked him so she could get access to her texts. Your texts are there anyway. In fact, here's a fun little thing. If you want to check this out, find somebody in your text messages, block them, and then do a word search. You can go to the top of your text and just search a random word, and it'll check every message that you've ever had from whomever. And you'll notice the person that's blocked, they'll come back too. You don't have to unblock a person in order to check their messages. Not only that, it's weird too. Here's another thing that really kind of boggles my mind. She says all the time that she cannot retrieve anything from technology because she's had to, get a new phone, or she switches phone numbers or whatever, but she still has Jeremy Hale's number and all the text messages and stuff stored in. Doesn't that sound like bullshit? Like she would have all these other messages too, if she still had his for however much time. But why should she have the ability to contact him whatsoever? And if she made contact, it does not matter how that happened. If she contacted Jeremy Hales and he went to the police about it, how is that a false report? I've had a protective order before, and I'll tell you, it is a terrible thing to have somebody that in your life that you dread contact with. You don't want that for whatever reason, and you have contact out of the blue. That is a horrible feeling. You've already gone through court channels. Yes. I don't give a damn what it's about. That is how you lock a mofo up. You know what I mean? You have them shut down and locked up, especially after everything Lynette Preston has been pulling. So for her to, notice 2 years after the fact, according to her own statements here, she is calling about this and trying to have Jeremy Hales locked up for something that she did. Saying, well, he knew how this happened. Well, how do you know he knew how it happened if it did indeed happen this way? I mean, you message somebody with a protective order right there. If that happened and you knew it happened, why didn't you call law enforcement and be like, yo, I know this guy's going to report me. I did this. It was during a hearing, and make sure you get it. Or better yet, maybe not call on, I wouldn't call law enforcement myself, but why didn't you talk to your lawyer? Why didn't you talk to any of the lawyers thereafter? Why didn't you talk to Silverman about it? Why didn't you talk to BBB? Why? Why indeed? Let's continue.
During an active deposition.
Do you remember what officer it was that handled that incident?
It's in the video, but I'm not sure. We have the video. So I can I would have to get Bruce Matskin, the attorney.
Well, are you saying that it was?
So Bruce is by contact though. He, the way you listen to this stuff, it very much. Again, Bruce, you can set this straight if this is not indeed true, but it sounds very much like Lynette Preston. You all either colluded on doing this, or you were just right at their beck and call all the damn time. Because you guys are always trying to take aim at Jeremy Hales. It's so bizarre. So weird. Let's listen.
February 2020?
Let's say how many times?
I'm sorry, 2024?
No. It was either 2024 or 2023.
2024 or 2025.
Let me see if I can ask John. John probably knows. I have a problem with dates because of a trauma, head trauma. Hold on.
Now again, she has problems with dates because of a head trauma. Oh God. So many things I'm not going to say. I'm going to be very okay. Continue.
John!
Well, I don't have it. I was going to tell you, I don't have any calls for service in reference to Jeremy back in February of 2023.
Okay, hold on. John, when did the deputies come out about the call?
What the hales?
When he said that I sent the text message out.
What is he saying? Look, you can hear the cop speaking. What is he? Listen to him. You can hear him under there. I'd be curious. Maybe we need to pull this and see what he's saying behind things. Listen.
And when he said that I sent the text message out. When was that? Well, get a hold of Bruce right now. I need the exact date. We'll get the date for you.
Maybe I didn't go back far enough. But I can hear the cop. I can hear the police officers speaking. I heard him say something Hales and something else, but I couldn't make it all out, because she's so freaking loud, man. She's just so freaking loud. God.
Nothing's been released until just now. And I think they held it because they knew that I had all the proof against them. And now I do. He sat there blatantly on the
This, I swear to God, this stuff pisses me off sometimes. Lynette Preston, you have a protective order against you. You have no contact. Doesn't matter how the fuck you have contact. There is nothing that anyone else did that made you make contact. She's going to say that she was abused and all this other shit because she got asked questions in a deposition. And yet, when you turn around and you have somebody that's wanted to cancel another person and ruin them, you've had them state this before. They think it was okay with Bruce going at Jeremy in depo. That's all fun and games, right? But somehow it's abuse when Preston was asked questions. And Randy was pretty fucking nice. You don't have to be that nice. Randy is overwhelmingly nice to these people. Like I said, you don't have to be that nice, especially when the way she was acting. That's why, why Randy's that nice, though? When you went in and you saw an appeal and it actually worked out, the attorney wasn't part of the problem with that. That's why he acts the way he does, and he lets them dig this hole, you know, because with appeal, it keeps him from being part of the issue. But she's going to blame it all. I mean, just look at this stuff. It's so crazy. There is no taking. There's never anything that she does wrong, ever taking accountability, ever. I was going to say there's no accountability, but there's never accountability. You know, we've never seen accountability here, ever. Like, they would rather lie to you than be accountable. It's bizarre, but look at this lie.
Phone call telling the sheriff's department that when the deputy asked him why in the world would she do such a thing, he looked at the deputy and said, "I don't know. I have no idea. She's crazy."
You are crazy, lady. You are. Anybody that wouldn't block a mofo and would make contact with him, he's supposed to know why you reached out and made contact. He's supposed to know why you did that. I mean, again, out of the blue with a protective order. Oh, my God. Again, this is insane. She started out, what blows my mind is she started out talking about Veteran Nation making false reports. And then she's made this right here. This is retaliation against a person that has a protective order against her for reporting her violating a protective order. I'm 100%. So the audacity of it. I'd be like, yeah, well, you know, about that. you are. Anywhere else, this stuff would be a problem, but not Levy County.
Well, I had just done a deposition the day before.
Okay.
And his lawyer had browbeaten me, abused me, belittled me, screamed at me.
Did you see Randy scream at her? Did you catch Randy screaming at her ever? Like, I'm curious about that. I mean, I think we've all seen that depot. We do have to watch the depot again. But through that, did you ever see Randy scream? I mean, look at what she said. She said that he berated her. He abused her. He belittled her. He screamed at her. I mean, that's what she was doing. Like, she spent that entire time attack, yelling. I mean, those descriptors fit all of her behavior. It's wild for her to be like, yeah, these people were doing, ma'am, that's what you were doing. Maybe you're confused because of the head injury. I'm not sure, but holy God, man. Continuing.
And told me that I had to send him all the messages between me and Jeremy. Yeah. So as I'm doing it, you know, sending the messages quick, he's going, hurry up, come on, hurry up.
He actually did not do that either. It wasn't a hurry up. Again, look at these lies. She was supposed to bring this stuff to court with her. You remember, you're supposed to have all of this stuff. She was told to have all your proof, you know, that way you can review it. So she went into depot. She doesn't have anything with her whatsoever, but she's making all these claims. And Randy's like, yo, do you have that stuff? Do you have these messages? And she would say things like, again, excuses like, I don't have the technology with me, or that's an old phone number or whatever. But every now and then something she would say, yes, I do have it. And when that would come up, he'd be like, okay, well, why don't you send that over? And it was the biggest shit show ever watching her try to do that stuff. I mean, this is such blatant falsehood. God, man. Jeremy showed her mercy one time for the protective order. One time, because, you know, again, it's I've not asked him. Maybe one day I will ask him about his mindset, but I think I understand it. Again, I've not lived it, so I cannot say that I can 100%, you know, understand it the way he does. But you just want to be done with it. You know, he'd been in that thing for a year. He'd like his rights, and he doesn't want it dragging on. So he gave them a sweetheart of a deal. And all she has done is misuse that. What's up, Liz, by the way? Hope you're doing good, too.
And so as he's doing that, I accidentally hit the send button when I was supposed to hit the forward button instead. And I sent it right back to him.
So she messages him. So she's 100% admits that she messaged him. What did she send to him, by the way? I don't remember what exactly was sent there. But again, that would not be possible if she had blocked him. You know? That 100% would not have been possible had she gone out of her way. It's not Jeremy Hale's responsibility. See, this is what kills me about the antis period. It is not Hale's responsibility in any way, shape, or form to change up his life or his living patterns, you know, where his movement, what he does for business, going to the post office, getting groceries, anything like that. It's not him that is supposed to change up his life. They are supposed to change up their mannerisms. They are supposed to change up everything. And they are supposed to make sure that they get it right. Let's continue.
His own message back to me. And that's what he called a text message.
Okay.
And that
It sounds like harassment.
we know.
If you message me stuff, if you start messaging me, sending me back my own text, what that tells me is that you were looking at stuff about me. It would bother me. It would. Because, again, I wouldn't want you in my life, period. I'd paid money. You owe him how much money now because of violating protective orders too? God, man, I can't believe that your lawyer sits around and tells you that it's okay to do this stuff. And you know he is, because again, you're calling him on the phone. Oh my God. A good lawyer would be like, just don't talk about them. Don't do anything related to them, you know? Don't do anything related to them.
Oh. Well, I can't make this. I'll have to do it again another day. Sorry. Or we'll wait for it. Yeah, I'll get all the dates from my lawyer.
Well, filing a false police report, you wouldn't actually be the victim in that matter. It would actually be the state that's the victim. And it's up to the officer's discretion whether or not they wanted to pursue a charge against him for that. It's not really your decision.
Now, this makes her mad. This makes her quite mad, because she's told here, you're actually not the victim in this situation. If there's a false police report, then the state, you know, and that is true. Now, if they thought there was something actionable, I'm telling you, if they thought there was an actionable claim in this, I 100% think they would go after Jeremy Hale. I do. After what I read in those emails and the way that it sets up, I think that they are not going after, because there's nothing they can go after him for. You know, I believe that they tried hard. Yeah, I base that on 600 pages, 590 pages of emails, you know? It's just so crazy, though. That officer is like, this is crap, dude.
And that's going to be the original investigating officer of the incident that handled the incident, that gathered the information, that handled the call for service, etc. So in reference to pursuing charges against him for that, you don't really have the option.
He tried to have me arrested.
Well,
now this gets interesting right here. Now listen to how she describes what happened with it. Because again, now unfortunately, what we've learned is the prosecutors would have done nothing with it. But as far as the police went out, and listen to how she describes her day.
He filed a false police report and tried to have me arrested. They came here with the intent of putting handcuffs on me.
They do that.
Well,
They actually, if you can have, so I've learned this myself. All right. You want to understand a violation. She's lucky that they don't live in Ohio, Because if they lived in Ohio or Levy County had the balls to actually stand up for victims, like I'm sure they run on and they say they do, if they actually did any of that kind of stuff, what would happen is you would have law enforcement put out a warrant for them. They would go in and they'd pick their dumbasses up, you know, they'd bring them in because that would be a violation, a contact at all. There wouldn't be an investigation. The investigation would be internal. They wouldn't go and ask them about it. Because Levy County, over and over again, which frustrates the hell out of me in listening to this, contact is violation. It doesn't matter. They should have been picked up and arrested right then. Like I said, I've had a protective order before, and there shouldn't be some wormy government freaking losers trying to find a way to work around your protective order. Protective order is cut and dry, and it's harder than hell to get one that is actually, it works for you. But what should happen is you turn in your information. If they look at it and there's a violation, then they arrest somebody for it. They don't go and have a chit chat about the violation. That's what the judge is supposed to do. They're supposed to have a little contact. But Levy County is, they do such a disservice for victims in Levy County. It blows my mind. Maybe, again, in Otter Creek, maybe there's some great people there. You know, I've talked to people that I think are really good people that have come from that area, but I would never feel safe or comfortable there because, again, they run at a nationally, you're talking about them doing less than half of the baseline for convictions. Less than half. They don't try to secure conventions. They let some horrible stuff happen. And if they do that for major league cases like you see, think about the other stuff they slip. And you know what that does? They're there for to keep people safe. They run every one of these DAs. They run on a platform of keeping victims safe. They all do. Like if you look at it, every one of them, because that's what they're there for. They're supposed to ensure that you are safe. So that's what they always run on. These people have decided that, here's my opinion. You want to really hear my opinion on this. You know why they don't do that? First of all, because I'm going to think, maybe all the stereotypes for places like that, as far as these people, I'm not talking about Otter Creek. I'm talking about prosecutors. Maybe they're real. Maybe it's not just that they're Northerners. They're outsiders or interlopers. Maybe it's because they have an interracial relationship. You ever thought about that? Because we've already seen people like John Cook and what he said on the reg, and a lot of these people don't seem very aghast by that, do they? If I were to be like, yeah, they've not only targeted them, but they say this or that or the other, you would think they wouldn't want to be attached to that. They wouldn't want to. They wouldn't want to try to prop it up and potentially in their own government. But they've treated her like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And John Cook says some pretty racist shit. We saw it in the litigation. We very much saw it there. So I wonder. I think that's part of it. Outsiders, on top of it, differences. Man, I ran into that. Like I said, growing up in around small towns, you'd run into places. Any difference at all, people get targeted for. I think that has never changed. And on top of it, Jeremy had the audacity as an outsider, as somebody, again, with a way of life they probably don't like, to call out the injustice there too. So they would have never let him be part of the community to begin with. They would have found their own problems there. But once he started actually exposing what had been going on, yeah, I'm sure they looked for reasons. But anyway, the very end of this is pretty funny. I like the end of what the cop, like her reaction and the police officer.
Well, I mean, anytime anybody's detained and they're not free to leave,
Listen to
then their
this.
rights are read to them. We do that pretty consistently.
Okay,
throughout the day.
it's all right. Never mind. We got it. I get it. Never mind. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so she hung up, right? Now listen. There's another officer. She's like, "Is she hang up on you?" Listen.
She's hanging up on you? Yes.
Did she hang up on you? They're like, "What the hell? Did she just hang up on you?" Oh, that's pretty funny. That cracks me up. She called in, and apparently that happens a lot. Just to say, apparently that happens a lot. Holy shit. Are they again? Whoa. What the world? You want to see something funny? So check this out. This is crazy. LP is posting again, apparently. Thank you for sending this over because it just popped up. Backslab, I'm glad you grabbed that. Give me 1 second here. I'll get this up here. Man. God, Lynette. She is such a crazy person, man. Lynette, you are crazy. You really are. She posts some of the craziest stuff. So I'm gonna pull this up on the I'm gonna pull it all up here, okay? Check this out here. This is right off Facebook, okay? So you can see it right here. Oh, by the way, there were some people asking about following on that. I am ThAD, T-A-D, Guy, G-U-Y. I use one of my umbrella faces, so you can always tell who I am, So if you're looking for me on there, it's pretty easy to find me. Well, give me a second. Let me set this so you can see a little better. I can't make it perfect, but at least I can make it a little bigger. I wonder if I can make that any bigger at all. I can't make it there. That's a little bit better. All right. So she's been posting. She's like, I need to set something straight. I loved HG Christmas, and I am not governed by any fans of the other side. I don't believe their lies. They're like, what are their lies, by the way? What lies? So what exactly? I'm confused by this, very much so. She's the one who's been saying she can't get her money, right? She's the one that has been talking about these people had no rights to the likeness for the kids, how this stuff goes to another person. So, I mean, it's not other people saying it. She did. I don't believe they're antiques. What? Antiques? I don't believe nothing about them. I even posted that I want to be part of the next HG Christmas. I want to help another child have a magical Christmas. So whatever, Marla. 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 Man, how is by the way, let me make this clear, Lynette Preston. Marla isn't part of another side. She's one of the leeches that is clinging on to you because you, in some twisted way, give them fame and acclaim. But look at her turn on it. She turns on everybody. Marla, you deserve this, by the way. You deserve it. She's like, Marla, you scumbag, or whoever. Oh my God. Whoever's writing is this garbage. Please knock it off. Just eating up your lies and the deception and adding to it. I'm not asking for Harley's name to be excluded from any. You said that they didn't have rights to use the name. Now she's like, oh, they're going to do another kid. Okay. Like again, Lynette Preston, they've used her kid to raise money They're not going to turn over any money to her. There is something jacked up about this. You know what it is? She learned something this weekend. You know what that was? That she can't do shit without them. She cannot get any money. She burned those bridges. They can laugh at her. They can demean her. They can spit on her and whatever. She just has to take it because you're a coward, Lynette. You are a coward. They own your soul, lady. They own your soul. What I don't want, though, is Harley's name on any more T-shirts. I don't want T-shirts being sold or hats or mugs or anything else to make profit of my child. Well, if they're using your kid for HG Christmas, isn't that using your kid? That's what I said. Now, I hope that squares it out with all you stop lying, stop manipulating, stop blah, blah, blah. Then here's some money again. Give me money. Our needs have drastically changed due to HG's medical needs, needing a place for a babysitter, needing nursing to come in. We desperately need an RV, and we have one being held, and we need $5,000. Again, this is yet all another prop. And they're going to attack Marla with this. Dude, this is really funny. I saw Marla in here. Marla. This is what you get for loyalty to her. As I do jewelry, I will pay the seller every penny I make, and a friend wants to do a give, send, go. I will provide as much information as I can without letting anyone know who the seller is, because nobody's going to give you money, Lynette. Anybody. So she's going to do a give, send, go. So she's going to do. Now she apparently has learned that no one will lend her $5,000. Lisa won't give her money. There's something really wrong with that money thing. There's something really, really wrong with that money thing. Are they trying to defraud everyone while the bankruptcy goes on? You think, if you think that's going to keep Jeremy Hales from being able to find out anything about it, you're wrong. That's absolutely wrong, because it was collected in your name. It is your money, so you won't be able to protect it that way. It will 100% open the books for it. You watch, you see what happens with it. That will happen, but they're going to try to do a give, send, go. They're going to start collecting money again during a bankruptcy. They're going to do yet another fraudulent thing. I hope if that comes up, I hope people report it. I will. Lynette Preston, you put up a give, send, go. I'm going to report it. I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power to get it taken down, because people are giving you $100,000 or more. And the last money went to a bankruptcy lawyer when it was supposed to go to a real lawyer. You know, for 4 cases, it was supposed to go for all that. There was a lie about that. You're telling us, she told us that the money was not given to her. She said that the money was fraudulently held, that it has not been turned over. So if they are not going to clear that up with law enforcement, then that needs to be reported as fraud. All of it does, really, because it's all fraud. Well, let's be honest. That's not, they want to say that's being malicious to them. They're telling you over and over again, we're not going to do anything about it. We're just going to write it off. But we were defrauded. Like, what? That's not how it's supposed to work, right? It's not how it's supposed to work at all. Give me a second here. Here we go. The girl's my oldest mess. She was like, Sissy won't let me have a turn on my TV. They're supposed to be switching off movies over and over again. You know, I was like, you guys better share. They were sharing earlier. I watched a couple of movies, but they're like, so I guess I'm going to have to structure them in. I didn't want to have to do that. It's funny listening to them. Okay, so just continue. I'm going to give as much, but they do not want to be contacted or be part of this nightmare. The last RV owner was contacted. The owner was threatened. The owner wasn't threatened. Prove that, Lynette. You liar. They were contacted. Yeah. They were told that you were not going to pay them. what I think would probably happen with this, you're in bankruptcy again. If there's anything beyond the money you raise, like if you're like, hey, I'll pay you $1,000 later on, they should know that. They absolutely should. She's like, the owner was lied to, and they did not sell it to us because of it. That does not need to happen here and won't for one. So she's actually telling you the reason I don't want that. So she's going to do a gifts and go. She's not going to put out all the information on what it's going to be utilized for. She's just telling you to trust me, you know. That's pretty wild, isn't it? I'm telling you. I hope to God, anybody that gives money, I hope they're public, you know, that you can see their names. Because if they are, holy God, if anybody gives money, we don't deserve it. And neither do they. But when it's all said and done, a picture of the RV will be shown. The receipt will be redacted. And of any personal information will be shown. And I've already had people tell me they want to donate. So thank you very much in advance. I've already had people tell me they want to donate. Oh my God. You would have to be the dumbest human beings alive. Like I said, I hope their names are up there so I can mock them. Because they deserve it. I love you for believing in me. And Lisa, stop believing the trolls. Believing the trolls? Lisa said you're a lying piece of garbage. Lisa didn't get that from the quote-unquote trolls. She said that's from you. She said you lie and you're awful and you yell and you're horrible to deal with. She said all kinds of shit about dealing with you. Not secondhand, I heard it from someone. She said, you are one of the worst people ever she had to deal with. So she said a lot of bad things about you. She worries about the kid, about what'll happen with them. She was on your property. So I don't think that's the trolls. Just to say, it's not me believing them, dear. It's you and Marla. It's exactly why I blocked you. You are a liar. Wait. Did she just call Lisa a liar? Isn't that what that says? Lisa stopped believing in trolls, right? Isn't this her calling Lisa? She just called Lisa a liar, dude. Check this out. So I love you for believing in me. And Lisa, stop believing in the trolls. It's not me believing them. It's you, right? And Marla. So, but this is directed at you because it's a specific person. She's not talking to Marla. She's talking to and about Lisa on that. She said, this is exactly why I blocked you. You are a liar. Holy shit. Oh my God. It's gonna fucking go off the rails again. Make sure that if you would, folks, please, anybody that is over in the fan, quote unquote, fan group, because all of these idiots, they go over there, make sure that they understand when this is posted that this right here, when you read it, you can tell that is 100% directed at Lisa. Oh, it's getting spicy, baby. It's getting spicy. She had a lot to say about you too the other night. You know, last night was it was interesting, but the night before, she actually had quite a bit to say about you, Preston. And she has said quite a bit about you in other nights too. Now, if you doubt that, all of those streams are up there. All you have to do, Lynette, is you don't have to sort through it all. All you have to do is get a hold of the transcripts, ask somebody. I'm sure they'll help you, and search your name. Because when you bring up your name, she calls you some pretty awful shit. She says some pretty terrible, and I believe a lot of it, to be honest. I think it's funny. They lie about almost everything, but when they talk about each other, boy, that stuff is real. It is definitely real, but it sounds like they got a little bit of that fireworkage going on. Man, let me make sure. Thank you, MaxLab, for noting that. That is pretty funny stuff. Let me get a screenshot. I'm going to do some super chats here. Oh my God, tomorrow may be funnier than I thought. These people are very entertaining when they're eating each other. You know, the crazy thing, again, as I've said many times, they were never pro-Preston. They were always anti-Hales. But the weird thing is this this dynamic shift that they had, where they no longer were pro-Preston. Now they're anti-Preston as well. Their main objective, though, was always anti-Jeremy Hales. They had their own reasons for acting this way. They were always anti-Jeremy Hales. They were never pro-Michelle Preston. So when she's out there being like, oh, I thought they were my friends and everything. No. They were never your friends. You were never their friends either, I imagine. You wanted stuff from them. It's funny too. Again, she grabs on anybody that offers any help or anything else. I think that's so funny. Like I said, I thought it was fun to put out the offer. Again, I hope they do understand. I would be entertained in going after 2L. I definitely would. But it's when they end up, they're homeless right now. They're living in a freaking shed. These people have dangled that money over them like a carrot that it's a non-existent, it's a phantom carrot, because they're never going to get it. And it's just amazing to see, because they have to just take it. They actually have to take it. I love it, man. Yeah, that new bankruptcy, we'll discuss that tomorrow, man. That's good too. Max Lab sent over a thing with the bankruptcy. I want to make sure people understand that. So that's a good note, buddy. I appreciate you there, you know. They lied a lot, though, about the money thing. They were lying about it quite a bit. They've been called out by their own chat, too. I've been sent a few things about that. That's pretty funny. Let's do some super chats, though. If I keep going and talking about they're stupid, oh my God, we'll never end. They're always stupid, right? So let's get there. Let's see. All right, let's start it. Go 1 second. Max Lab kicked it off. Thank you, Max Lab. Thank you for the stuff too. Appreciate you, buddy, as always. Max Lab finds some funny stuff. It always cracks me up, man. Like I said, I appreciate you, my brother. God, these people, they are such clowns too. Let's say Heather. Thank you for the membership. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for that membership. Welcome to Thugs. By the way, much appreciated there. Fallen Hero dropped that gifto. Thank you, Fallen Hero. I appreciate you, my friend. Frankie, thanks for the 25 there. Get that breadstick money. Go in, baby. Thank you. That is much appreciated too. Man, what a week. This week has been so nuts. Cajun Bayou Queen. God, I can speak. Thank you for the gifted membership there. Thank you for that. I much appreciate it. Oh, by the way, I'm going to mention this real quick. This is random here. I watched that movie Weapons the other day. Well, you know, if horror is not your thing, that might not be your thing at all. But I ended up watching it, you know, because it had all this acclaim. And it was interesting. I think if it wouldn't have had all that acclaim, I liked it. But when they when they talk about movies like there's never been anything like it, yeah, there's always something like it. So, but I did like it. I think acclaim sometimes hurts a movie because you go in with unrealistic expectation. You don't even know what you're expecting. You're just expecting the best thing ever. But I did enjoy it. You know, it was different. It has an interesting backstory to it. But I had no idea. I'd seen the commercials for it. And I had no idea what the heck it was supposed to be about. Mary, thank you for that membership. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Thugs. Did you see that new shirt thing from Milk Toast, by the way? Did you all see him trying to trying to sell shirts. Oh my God. I wondered if you guys had seen that or not. I don't think I brought that up. Let me see. It seemed like such the admission with him. You remember Jeremy's talked about these people as unhinged freaks, right? Because of the way they act, the way they target him and stuff. That's disgusting, And he was like, I'm going to proudly sell down a shirt. So this is a guy who says that he's being terrorized and more. That, what? Yeah, the wine's constant boy. Well, I understand not looking there either. But he keeps saying that he's being terrorized and more. And yet he's selling shirts, mocking the idea that somebody is saying that they're terrorizing him. It's weird, isn't it? It's like it said, I don't know. So weird. Laura, thank you for dropping that gifted membership too. Thank you, Laura. Jack's mom, thanks for the 2 there. I wouldn't be surprised if Minx was involved. I wonder. I wonder. Pickle Tick, thanks for the 11 months. Enjoyed you this morning with Mr. Coop and Mike from Vet Nation. Yeah, I usually don't have time to go on because of the kids and stuff, but the way the day lined up, it worked out. I had fun. The only thing that says, I talk a lot when I'm on places. That's how I can run a solo show all the time, because I can just talk. I could talk about nothing and just talk forever. Yeah. It's one of the things I've been gifted with the gift of gab, but being on shows sometimes, if I'm on, like today, I was in the mood to talk, and I was like, man, I hope I'm not talking over anybody. It happens sometimes, I always say that if you get on huge panel shows, like there's like 9 people, I think you can have 9 total. With that, I always hate that because, I like to talk and you can't say anything. But I did enjoy it. I thought that was good. I've never been on their show before, so I thought that was pretty good. They were talking about some of the stuff that had happened recently. Talking about the FOIA request. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I got it right at a point that I wanted to speak. So I thought that was a good time to talk. And like I said, I enjoyed it. I think it's good too. Again, I don't go on a lot of different shows because I've never made it a habit of going on a lot of different shows. But I like people. Hey, that's awesome. I saw all those freaking memberships hit too. Thank you. That's cool. I always love seeing that. I think it's such a reward for people that are there. But I've always not gone on shows that often. But even if I don't go on shows, that does not mean I do not like or respect a person, what they do. There are a lot of people that do a lot of good stuff. And I appreciate them. Even if I didn't, which I do like the people involved, so I can say this, but even if I didn't like a person, I like them. You know what I mean? You should never be able to see if I don't, unless they like a person wanted to have a problem. But with Mr. Coop, I like his voice. He has a good voice. He has a good calm voice for the thing. And Mike has a good voice for stuff too. He's been doing it a long time. But Mr. Coop's got a good voice. He has a really good, just set down, calming voice. They do a good show. They do a daytime show too, so it's good stuff. But it's never aligned. One time I was going to go on there and we had some kind of technical difficulty, but today it worked out. So I'm glad I got to go on there, Pickle Tank. Andre, thanks for the 2 there. Conspiring fools will soon see a jail cell. That, it's really weird. That really depends on the geographical location of where you're at and the judge you get. Isn't that the strangest thing? I am really disappointed with, the like the areas we're talking about, like in Florida. Florida, they're like Tennessee in a lot of ways. They showcase themselves as a huge law and order state, right? We're this, we're that. But depending on the region, it may not be like that at all, And you see like just some ridiculousness where they will not do anything about just some major stuff. It'll be fascinating to see how all this plays in the end. Like I said, I have no idea how Fed 2 will play, as I've said many times. Fed 1, I think, is good to go. Fed 2, proven conspiracy is difficult. So, but tortious interference is hard to get to go through too. So, we will see. He's got a line on certain people for sure. But jail, I think too. I think when people get locked in for a conspiracy where they have malicious intent, they end up, if these people, like if Michelle Preston and John Cook, they get hit for some of these costs, they'll never be able to discharge them, and they will bury them with it. They will. And it will cost a lot of money. But also, the the thing that has been proven with this stuff too is that you can go after a person's business, but he'll come after you hard. So, something to bark about. What's up? Something to bark about. It's always good to see you. These are the two there. Sending love from Arkansas. No, Arkansas. I'm just playing. Thanks for the laugh. I used to, when I was little, I had a cousin that would always, he thought it was Arkansas. So I always say that. And I always thought that was cute. Arkansas. Max Lab. Yes, thanks for the bankruptcy lawyer. His days. He is down to days. Like I said, we will talk about that tomorrow as part of everything. But this bankruptcy lawyer, so what was it on the 11th? Is that when it was? Give me a minute. Give me 1 second here. Can't remember the date on it. That's why I'm looking real quick, my friend. Yeah, the bankruptcy lawyer was told, hey, you got, that's the thing too. They have so much time to cure any kind of deficiencies, to show what needs to be done. And this lawyer, like he waits till the last minute to do anything. If you look, so somebody put up God, I can't remember whose post it was. I apologize. I cannot remember who it was, but they put up a really good post and I read it. On stream that was talking about the bankruptcy lawyer and their hearings, how they had to take classes, and their classes were at the last minute, and some of those were done sloppily, like really badly. So it just tells you, like for me, if I were going to have a problem, if I didn't get something done, I would do it like in the now, right? Yeah, so he had a final notice of, so on 9/11, he was given a final notice, and it was reminded of the requirement to serve documents referenced in 3 days. So he had 3 days to do something. So we'll actually see if he gets it done. And again, if they don't delay, you think about this, if they don't delay the 2 cases before the October 20, what was it, the 5th? It was 25th. I keep thinking, why am I keep thinking the 22nd? Is there something else happening on the 22nd and it's just messing with me? Or am I just randomly thinking of the 22nd? Is there something else happening on the 22nd? Can somebody tell me that? But anyway, if they don't delay before that, you think about what that says. That says that so it is the 22nd. Okay. So I'm right. Okay. I kept thinking the 25th for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, it's 26th. Thank you. So they spent $6,000, right? to delay a case. That's all they did. They spent $6,000 to delay a case. This lawyer was so bad in this that he didn't do that. Potentially, they had a hearing. They wanted to put off this hearing here with a status hearing, and they wanted to kick all these proverbial cans down the road. They may have screwed that up. He may have made such a mess out of this that Michelle Preston may have given him, and here's the thing with that money too. This is something the ecosystem, I think, is funny as well. Something the ecosystem doesn't seem to grasp. If he ends up screwing up and he ends up messing up that case, you know what happens with the money? He keeps it. A terrible lawyer still gets paid. So do you not find that fun? I think that's hilarious, because no matter what, they still don't get paid. Or they still do get paid, rather. They don't get their money back. Like, that cracks me up, That cracks me up. Oh, here it is. This is something I wanted to... Oh, I found that part where they were complaining about the hearing thing, where they were trying to... I'll keep this for tomorrow, because I guess this will work in. But yeah, yesterday, I found the part where they were saying that it wasn't a hearing. Like George and Jeremy, they all called it a hearing. Yeah. It wasn't a hearing. It's a conference. It's not a... What? Oh my God, man. What a bunch of idiots, dude. It's not this. It's not. Oh my God. You realize, like, a conference, it's something that's informal. You understand that. Now, a hearing means that it is formal. Now, when you go into a court, by default, everything that you have is a hearing. Now, again, people will talk about it being a status conference. They'll use that word, but everything is a hearing, because a hearing is, again, that it's formal. You had lawyers involved. They were there. They were talking about things. They had discussions. So, again, it was formal. Oh my God. So, but if, again, these are idiots. This idiot could not. Oh God, it blows my mind. I'm gonna have to stop. Just hurts my brain. But yeah, the BR lawyer is a mess. But we answered this one, Lily. That was a good question, Lily. I thank you for that. That was very good. Tracy, thanks for that too. Sorry I haven't been around. I was looking after my granddaughter, great-granddaughter. She lost a fingernail. Defending herself too. Did she get attacked by somebody, by the way? Is she okay? Love to her. Love to you guys. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you all are. And catching up again, just there are plenty of people around to catch up on stuff. If just note when you were out on it, and boom. What's up, Angela? Thank you for the super chat there. Keep an eye out for HG and LP getting passports. She's getting herself all dolled up. Move over and make only me the husband. Oh no, that would be so messed up, wouldn't it? Holy God. Hey, only me. She's going to present him with the one ring. Oh my God. She's going to be my precious. Oh my God. She should do that. She should do like a Gollum. God, I'd love to hear her do a Gollum. She says, everybody says that she looks like Schmeagol, They don't. They don't say that. They say she looks like Gollum. There's a difference. Thank you too, Just JF. I thought that was good. That's a good point, man. Max Lab. I noted that before, but I'm noting again. I'm thanking you again, brother. Thank you too, Max Lab. We did catch it, and I appreciate you, brother. Sneaky sheep. Thanks for the 2. Worry is your safety when sanctions hit them. You know, if they end up eating $50,000 off of one case, well, 50 plus. I'm just saying 50,000, but you know I'm talking about more there, right? So they end up eating 50,000 plus off of one case. They end up eating another outrageous bill. And remember, Bruce has been spinning this for a while, saying that all of this is because of cases that other people, they somehow have commandeered. They were legitimate. Doesn't this wreck his talking point? If Lynette Preston ends up having to pay money, doesn't that destroy his little talking point? That they were legitimate and how they work. I wonder what it'll take for Lynette Preston to turn on him. She should have listened to what that lawyer was told, you know, with the bankruptcy, and then what the judge told her as far as you need a lawyer. You're out of your depth here. And she should have thought, wait a minute. We're still moving forward. That means Bruce lied to me. He didn't tell me the truth, because she thought she was out of it. And what does that say, lady? I would love to, again. I love to see some of the stuff that she was fed by Bruce. She thinks Bruce helped her. Like, to me, that blows my mind. She thinks Bruce actually helped her. If you look at these cases, though, I mean, she is on the hook for quite a bit of money. And they're off cases they didn't even present. Like, you look at the Trespass 5, and you look at the thumbnail case, they didn't even move that part. I mean, they cost people money and more, but they didn't serve any purpose whatsoever. If she thought that she was aggrieved by people coming on her property and doing something, they never even got to address that, because they made such a mess out of it. So if she thought they were in the right, maybe look at that. You know, that's just wild to me. Either, thank you again for this. Family is the most important thing in life to me. Yes, I agree. Family. And again, you remember too that you yourself, you have friends, you have family, you know, you do, you know, we are around each other enough that a lot of us, we see each other every day. We talk about stuff every single freaking day. Like, how some families are not around each other for hours. You know, we're around each other 2 to 3 plus hours a day. Some families don't even have that. So yeah, I would make that sometimes, you know. You definitely have a bond with some people, and that's beautiful. So please take my last donation for you to have the opportunity to have a dad-daughter date with each of your daughters. Love you. Love to you too. You know, Megan, our YouTube family. I used to have a son and mom day every month. Yes, it's important. I try to have one with the kids. And again, love to you. You be here as long as you can. Okay. Chill with us. You are always welcome here. Like I said, we love you. We appreciate you. For real. A humane human. Thank you. Dropped a 2 for there and dropped a 5 as well. Thank you for that. Sadly, HG will need years of counseling to recover / evolve the damage done already. I feel for a future. Yeah, that's true. No matter what these folks, like anybody wants to put out there, she's definitely going to have to talk to somebody about all of this, because all of this here She's going to be haunted. Look, you got to remember the chaos she's lived in. I was reading through, so part of those letters that we got, they have in them the complaints from Landon and the grandson. Those are in there. And reading the claims with dispatch, it's something else, man. It's something else. I'll end up, like I said, we're going through. It'll take time. It's a lot. It's a lot to go through, but we will get through it. And when we do get through it, we'll be able to share everything. We'll share some as we go along. But that's one of the things that I ran into. And they wouldn't turn that over, by the way. That law enforcement refused to give that, even though they're supposed to. They did not turn that over as part of the reports. I thought that was crazy. Liz dropped 5 gifted membership. Thank you, Liz. That is awesome. I love seeing you, dude, Liz. Liz is always around. Appreciate you. Daily Dysfunction. What's up? Thanks 20 months. Appreciate you. I appreciate you too. It's good to see you as always too. Love to you. Puzzler. What's up? Yes, it is not your birthday. Let me see. I need to get out. I've got to think about this. How do we think about your own birthday? Let me. How do we? Oh, hot plates. Wait, hot plates. Wait a minute. Oh, I love it. Puzzler. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships too. I appreciate you, Puzzler. Oh, I love that joke. It's pretty fun. Thank you for that. I love, like I said, I love the gifted memberships because they give to people. It's awesome. Razilla, thanks for the 2. For a garage sale copy of the movie Rhinestone. I have not had a garage sale movie in a long time. That's funny. I have not. Are you talking about the... Are you talking about the 1980, what is it, 84 movie? Yeah, what is that? Dolly Parton. Are you talking about that Dolly Parton movie? That's so funny. Considering Dolly Parton, she's a Tennessee fixture for sure. So that's pretty funny. I've not seen that movie around a long time, to be honest. Cage of Bankruptcy. Thanks for the 10 there. Forget your breadstick money. I'm going to say this is a loaf of breadstick money. Thank you. You and Megan work hard. We appreciate you, Megan. Much love and hugs. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we do. We joke around about stuff and everything, but we do work, We do. Like I said, you see like transcripts and stuff. We fish through all of this. We try to put stuff together. And we try to make sure that things are done well. God, I love to. Oh, they got so mad yesterday. It was so funny. I mean, it was so funny. It was so good. Georgie. Hey, Georgie it sucks that we'll have to come on one day when you're over there too. Today you were not on. I was like, man, I didn't realize that. Like when I popped in, I saw it was funny because I didn't get a notification until right when I popped in. I had time around today. Typically, I don't have time in the daytime to do that much, with the kids and everything. We homeschool, everything else, but we gotten ahead of everything. So I was like, all right, we're good to go. And the kids, we'd stayed up late, goofing off too. So they wanted to lay back down today. They wanted a nap. That was pretty funny. So I got on there. I noted, I was like, hey, y'all are talking about, right when I popped up, we were talking about something I thought would be fun to discuss. So I was like, heck yeah, I got time too. So it worked out today, but we'll have to do another one for sure. Stink, thanks for the 7 months. Be careful with spider bites. I was in the hospital with an infection. Ooh, I did not see. Hey, Christine, did you mention that yesterday or something? So I remember either seeing that in a message and it disappearing or something. I'm not sure, but I could swear you mentioned that yesterday or the other day. And when I saw it, it's at the very beginning of a stream. And when I saw it, I thought, man, that's awful. I'm gonna follow up and ask you about it. And for some reason, like I guess it wasn't there when I went back or something. But I think you mentioned that because I meant to go back. I think it was yesterday. And yeah, I hear you. I actually got bit one time by a brown recluse, and that's not fun. They have that necrotic venom. The necrotic venom actually it kills the tissue and everything else around it. So it's pretty rough. Now, luckily, it was you didn't get a good handle on me. I've also been bit by God, what was it? Water moccasin, I believe. that was a mess up on my part. I went out. I was wearing tennis shoes of all freaking things. I was cutting through this field, and there's a little creek that ran across it, and it started raining. And I was like, crap, man. And one of the weird things, if you've never lived out in the country, you may not know this, but snakes, if they're around, you can smell them. They smell like, have you ever been in a store and smelled cantaloupe? That sweet, weird smell. Snakes smell like that. They put off a scent that smells like that. You could smell them. But with the rain up, it pushes all the smell down and stuff. So you don't notice it as much. Like there's a snake in an area, you can usually notice it beforehand, unless you just walk right up on it. But with the rain and everything, it kicked up this little bitty crossing creek, and it made it a little bit bigger. And the snakes, if they're right around the stream, they'll crawl up and over it. Well, it started raining, and I walked up on this little this over hill. And when I did, there's a freaking snake right there, right by my foot. And it was the time of year, they when they're ready to shed, they're almost blind. So they're pretty aggressive, or they're defensive. I shouldn't say aggressive. Aggressive is the wrong word. They're defensive. So I had almost stepped on it. And when it did, it was ready to fight. So it struck and hit the bottom of my shoe. It's like, I picked my foot up a little bit, and I did it. Right when it did, it hit my shoe. It went back and did it again. It did it twice. Well, when I lifted my foot up to make sure that it hit me in the bottom of the shoe, I slipped. I slipped on the mud. I was like, ugh. And when I did it, it went 3 times. It went whap, whap, whap. And the third time, it hit me in my ankle. Bam. It caught me right in the freaking ankle. I was like, son of a... That was not a fun day. That weirdly did not hurt that bad, but it did not feel good afterwards. I always expected like a snake bite to hurt more in the moment, but it didn't hurt as bad in the moment. But boy, I paid for it later. It sucked. I thought it would be like I got bit one time by or rather stung. I got stung by a wingless wasp. They look like big furry ants. They're the weirdest looking thing. I've only seen them, I think, like 3 times in my life. But I put my hand down. I was on some kind of camp, maybe a church camp thing. I don't remember when I was a kid. And I put my hand down, and right over I saw something like move over and hit me in the hand. And my God, that thing felt like it shot me in the hand. It felt like a bullet hit me in the hand. It was that awful. I was like, oh my God, that thing was so painful. But it wasn't like the aftermath. It went away in about 15 minutes. But I mean, it was bad. If I had like health problems or something at the time, I could see that ended somebody's life. Because it was bad. I have a pretty good pain tolerance. And It was bad. So, but the snake, like I said, it didn't hurt that bad when it hit, because it's just like two little fangs popping into your leg. But goo, that venom was rough. I did not enjoy it. I had to get anti-venom, all the fun stuff. And then I died. No, I'm just playing. I used to, my girls, I'll tell them stories like that. They'll be like, Dad, tell me a story. I'll make one up. Now, that's true, by the way, what I told you there, but I'll mess with them. I'll be like, tell me a story. So I'll tell them a story. I won't tell the whole thing, but I used to tell them like a derivative of anywhere I was, and then other coyotes or dogs would pop up. I used to live in an apartment and I was taking out the trash and these coyotes popped up, or wolves, wolves for a fact. These wolves popped up and they chased me to the back door, and they'd be like, then what happened? I'd be like, they caught me and I died. I love it. Anyway, I'm going to end here. I'm just goofing off now. But I appreciate you all. Tomorrow we will definitely have a live stream. There is a lot to catch up. I feel like we are well behind, So that's weird. What is that? Give me 1 second. Give me 1 minute. I'm checking something real fast. They sent me a thing here. I'm looking at a spreadsheet. Well, that's interesting. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go. I'll tell you some cool stuff tomorrow. Some people have sent me some cool stuff. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll see you then. Later.